it's Jay.
And yay!
We are here today for another girl talk.
Times two.
Times two.
Is this the second girl talk?
Part two. Speaking specifically on the question, is true love real? Is true love real? Love at first sight real? Is it?
I guess we'll find out.
Yeah. So bubble tea is just not hitting like it used to. So today we'll be drinking. Whose phone is that? Today we'll be drinking Forest Berry iced tea from Sozo.
This is not a paid advertisement.
It's not, but it could be. All in your hands, Sozo. Okay. Ready?
Blink.
We're literally filming this in a power cut, so. Alrighty, folks, we're gonna start off with the good questions.
Number 1.
Have you ever experienced love at first sight? And what's your opinion on it in general?
I don't think I've experienced love at first sight, but I've experienced attraction at first sight. I remember, I'm not gonna talk.
That's your story.
I mean,
Spill all the beans. Spill all the beans, the tea.
The tea. I've definitely had those occasions where things stand out in a person based on a first impression, and then I get fixated on it and it just stays in my mind. Making that first impression does make a difference, but I don't think it's fall in love. But it could be the start of falling in love.
The start of something new. See, this is exactly okay. Let me get to my point. So, I have not experienced love at first sight, but when I was younger, I definitely did believe in love at first sight. And the reason is because of things like this: High School Musical, the Barbie movies. We were constantly fed all of this parts of pop culture that constantly told us that first guy she sees, she falls in love with and they get married, which is not entirely realistic. Compared to what I used to, I definitely don't believe in love at first sight right now with the kind of convictions and revelations of life that I have currently. Because my understanding of what love is has changed so drastically since I was in school, and very much so ever since I left school. We'll get into that with the rest of the video. My next one is, have you ever been in love at first sight or otherwise?
Alright. I guess I definitely know that I have said I love you to people, which I think I've definitely thrown around a lot mindlessly in the past. Now, when I look back at it, knowing the things I know now, the prerequisites to calling something loved or love, I don't think I've been in love.
Okay, so similar experiences. I've definitely liked boys, obviously, and in some cases, unfortunately, but and at the time, based on what my understanding of love was, I would have thought that it was true love or some form of love. But looking back now, I know for certain that it was kind of just a feeling in the moment or basic attraction in a sense, but not really true love. Yeah, I don't think we have been in love, but that won't stop us from making this video. Next question. What is love to you?
That is a very multi-layered question. There are different kinds of love. So basically, love is a decision. In that context, I mean when you choose to love one person above everyone else, it's a choice. I'm choosing to like you. I'm choosing to love you. In the long run, you're going to continue to choose that person. So that, in the sense, is what I mean, that love is a decision, love is a choice.
I completely 100% agree. Love is a choice. It requires conscious decision making, conscious choices. Love is a lot of things. God is love. Love is patient, love is kind, all of those things as well. But bottom line, it's not an impulsive feeling or limited completely to physical aspects or physical attraction, as I might have thought once upon a time, thanks to all the once upon a times.
And the statements love is blind and stuff like that.
Yeah, you hear things like true love's kiss, love at first sight, love is blind. But they are forms of misconception that we're fed at young age, not even to an extent society, but more largely media and pop culture. And it's, I feel, more often misunderstood, and even like you said earlier, love is a word we throw around casually, but it is something that has a lot of depth, a lot of meaning behind it, and I think that we tend to lose sight of that sometimes.
And I think a lot of people, like in general, get lost in the idea of love and
That
more,
is so true. Yeah.
more
What do
than
you
the
think, yeah?
person. It's more like, oh, I am in love. They're in love with the concept of being in love.
I mean, who doesn't love love?
Yeah,
You know,
but
that's why you have to be kind of aware of these things, so you have a sense of reality from an idea. But a big contributor to my understanding of love is obviously God and my love for God, and also what we have seen in our parents. Like, that's true love if I ever saw it. And that's a standard I think both of us hold love to. We have been fortunate to witness it like for the last 23 years, 21 years of our life. So we have a very good idea of what love is to us.
yeah.
That's a strong. What are some red flags at first sight? Both online, on people's social media, and also offline when you meet someone in person.
In person, I would say a red flag is how they speak to other people, how they treat the people around them. The way they speak mostly is the biggest giveaway of your values, what you believe in. Like if you are someone who talks bad about other people, if you bring other people down, like that is a reflection of who you are. There's only so much that you see online. Like when you hear someone speak, the power that the words that someone carries is phenomenal. So it can tell so much about you. Online, there I feel like online I would not base a very strong first impression on them, because a lot of people don't portray who they really are on social media. They either put a very like
Put up a front. Yeah.
put up a front to a certain extent. No one wants to show a bad side of themselves on social media. There are a lot of behavioral patterns that you can see that are red flags when you look at the Instagram account. These are just my opinions. If they consistently switch between having absolutely no posts, all their posts, okay, there's a difference between rearranging and reorganizing your Instagram account, but I'm talking in the context of like multiple times a week.
Yeah, to add to that, so inconsistent behavior definitely a bit of a red flag online. They have their account, they delete their account, they make new accounts, like super inconsistent in anything, and that is definitely a big red flag for me. Like even as Nangi mentioned, I just realized I call you a different thing in each video. Aya, Yeshaya, Nangi, like I just like to confuse people. How they treat other people, how they talk about other people, that's definitely very telling of what someone's personality is like. And also humor, what they laugh at. If their humor is always at the expense of someone else, that's a definite red flag for me personally.
Shut it down.
Like, what are things you notice in a person when you meet them for the first time? Good things, bad things, whatever.
First thing that draws my attention is their smile. The way they carry themselves, their body language, if they are confident, how well they take care of themselves. Showing the effort that they put into them, getting dressed. I want to see the effort.
If they take care of themselves, they can take care of you, and vice versa. Okay, so for me, I think definitely the main thing is like their energy, the vibe that they bring to a situation, or like in more technical terms, the spirit that they carry and what is coming out of their spirit. Is it like positivity that they radiate, or is it negativity? Definitely that is something that strikes me first, regardless of whether you're the most talkative person or the most quiet person. Humor specifically, based on what they laugh at, whether it's something that's genuinely funny to me, or if it's just something like laughing at the expense of another person. I notice when someone has like a really hearty, genuine laugh, and like it comes from within, it's not just like Another thing is their manner of speaking. I think you also said this. How they speak, how sharp they are. Those things are things that I notice. I notice people's hands. Like, maybe because I'm an artist and hands are a big part of my craft and the things that I do. Like, you can tell a lot about a person based on their hands. Like, you can see a life story based on their hands. I can tell. So that is something I definitely notice. At first also.
You can cut this out if you want. But if they smell good. Oh
so
my
that's
goodness.
like taking care of yourself.
Yeah, taking care of yourself. But yeah.
Those are all things that, I mean, those count. Let's talk about beyond that. You do have people that do really well in social situations and can give off a really good first impression, but later on their true colors start to show. And also vice versa, where you have people that are more reserved and then you realize that as you get to know them, there's so much more that was not exposed to you at a first glance. How do you carry forward from that?
At least for the first few instances of talking to this person, give time to make that kind of judgment, to gather enough information, to have a good understanding of their personality. You can't know someone fully in just a few weeks. I think I took so much of time to figure out who I am as a person in general. To consider knowing someone else completely, that is just hard to understand. I definitely feel like you have to take that time, really understand that person before you make any decisions, in the sense like if you want to pursue a more intimate relationship with them. They need to give you reasons to believe that you can trust them. And I also feel like you have to have a good level of understanding of yourself, your value, your worth, who you are, what you believe in, and your convictions. If your convictions aren't strong, you're going to compromise them for other people.
Yeah, I definitely experienced this myself in a romantic and platonic context where people start to reveal their true colors further into any sort of relationship. These are things that you don't really see within not just first impressions, but also like the initial part of your friendship or relationship or whatever. That's the thing. So you have attraction at first sight is when your convictions kind of align with another person's convictions. You can kind of click should both parties choose to love. Definitely that could develop into something else. But like there are also certain instances where people are not what they seem. So it's important to have that kind of discernment and the maturity to understand and identify these red flags, if you want to call it, that might surface further into the relationship. And like Nangi said, sometimes when you have that attachment to someone, you might compromise that. And that's why it's super important to be aware of your value and worth as a person all the time. So yeah, quality attracts
Quality.
So basically, yeah, in conclusion, I would say love at first sight is not real. But attraction at first sight is real. You can choose to love based on that and your preceding interactions with a person. So in my experience, I think, just my experience and my understanding, I think that men are more visual and might be easier for them to fall in love. Again, very subjective to my own personal opinion. This is not a fact. And women are more, like myself, more emotionally driven, especially initially, so it might take more time, more analyzing for them to come to that understanding. Love is definitely subject, especially to the people that you're interacting with and your circumstances. The most important thing I think that you can take away is knowing who you are first, what's in you and what value that you carry on your own, because you need love in you. You need to love yourself before you can love another person, which is super important and often forgotten because you try to fill a void sometimes. Based on your maturity and your understanding, you'll be able to discern people's spirits a little bit better, so you can avoid certain heartaches and certain mistakes that all of us have made at some point, but we will never make again because of our understanding now. We're still learning, we're still growing in love, but we definitely have our standards on the subject matter.
Key thing to take away from this is love yourself first and love God first. God should always take the top priority, and as Christians, that's my belief.
For sure.
Don't compromise, don't ever devalue yourself and what you deserve. If you exist, there's obviously someone
For you.
who exists. That's all, folks.
That's the end of the video.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.